So look, so much on the Leeds side of it, so much on the Chelsea side. Let's start with Graham Potter. 1 win in 11 games in all competitions, 7 defeats in 13 in the Premier League. This is huge, isn't it? Leeds at home. They have to beat Leeds at home, otherwise there will be some serious questions.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And that's on a great record to go into a situation like this. And obviously there's going to be a lot on the line for Graham Potter. And he's got so much on his plate. It's kind of difficult to figure out where to start first.
Is he out of his depth? Do you think that?
Well, I think he's been given a really difficult situation to manage, and I genuinely am not sure, who could cope with a situation, in terms of the amount of players that he has, who's making those decisions, is he involved in the decisions, does he know his best 11? I'm not sure. I don't think he does.
Todd Bowley's not going to like the look of that, is he?
No, it's not. And I really believe the time is running out for Potter, and he really has to turn things round this weekend and then in midweek against Dortmund in the Champions League, because if they were to not win against Leeds, even a draw is not enough tomorrow, really, and then get knocked out by Dortmund in the last 16 of the Champions League, with really, they're not going to make it in the league for the Champions League next season. So it would be disastrous. And I just think that more time passes, and I agree with what Karen says, of course, that he's a really good coach, there's no doubt. But sometimes really good coach, and no offense to Swansea or to Östersund or to Brighton, that doesn't make a great coach for a top club with the pressure and the expectations. And the more I see them play, and I was at the game against Spurs on Sunday, the more to me, it looks like he's out of his depth. This is too big. The task is too big. The pressure is too high.
So you don't think he's got to the end of the season no matter what? You still think that there could be a couple of games before the decision is made?
I really believe if the next 2 games don't go his way, don't go Chelsea way, I think, they could say goodbye.
Joaofelix won Chelsea's goal of the month for February. They only scored one. Scored 1 goal in February.
It was not even a vote.
Yeah, you're right. It's not, is it? It's just by default, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I've really enjoyed watching him play, obviously over the course of the World Cup as well. And now that he's at Chelsea, I think, obviously he's in a really weird situation, being on loan and what that's going to look like going forward. I think, if Chelsea want to do something special, they're going to have to try and find a way to keep him if that's possible. No kind of fluidity to what they're doing. And it's just like stop, start. And that's just a really, really difficult way to approach a football match.
And I agree with your point about the striker. They don't have a 30-goal-a-season striker, but they've got players who can score 10 easily. So it can't just be the fact that, there's no number 9, so they're never going to score. Because Joaofelix can score, Havertz can score, Mount can score, and then obviously players like Ziyech, Aubameyang when he comes. So goals can come. There's also a problem, like Karen just said, in creating those chances, making the ball build something up to get to creating a chance for those players who are good players. So, and that for me is on the manager.
Leeds, Leicester, Everton, Villa, they're the next 4. I mean, Chelsea on paper, they're all winnable games, but this is not Chelsea on paper, is it? And look, against the Leeds side, who take away the FA Cup result, but a massive win, didn't they, under
Leeds side? And I think, obviously, Gracia is known for his defensive organization, and I think that's something that they've needed to solidify going forward. But now it's, where do the goals come from? Because, I mean, that's not going to happen at the weekend, is it?
No. And look, let's be honest, Javi Gracia was not their first choice. He was probably number 6 or 7 on the list, wasn't he? Maybe even further down. They've got him, and they'll hope there's a bounce. And they still, look, we should say, they still play Wolves, Forest, Leicester and Bournemouth, teams all around them. It is in their hands. They're out the relegation zone.
There will be a lot of 6-pointers, not just for them, but for all those teams that we mentioned between 13th and 20th. But if you can, on top of that, get some points in those, like Southampton winning at Chelsea, if Leeds do the same or even get a point, it's a bonus, because they've written this one off in terms of, okay, let's budget for points, where we get the points. They don't expect really anything from a game like that, playing a much better team on paper, certainly. So if they get anything, and they will be very defensive, and I think they will be very happy with a 0-0 draw, for example, tomorrow, this weekend. So let's see if they can do it.
I think that's such an interesting point. Sorry to cut across you. But in terms of how teams that aren't expected to be at the top of the table manage, getting those points, getting the teams around them beat. You know what I mean? I'm always interested to find out at the end of the season, was that something they took into consideration? Because it seems really basic and obvious. But when it comes down to it, like, everyone still wants to win. Are you satisfied taking a point away to Chelsea, Arsenal, City, things like that, But then how is it that you manage the ones around you? That I always think is a fascinating
awkward
strategy.
atmosphere could play into their hands. Southampton found that out, didn't they, going there and beating Chelsea a couple of weeks ago.